bunch of really good speeches today, so I hear. But before we get to them, we'd like to thank our special guests for all coming, and we'd like to remind you to turn off your cell phones and pagers and stuff like that. Up first is Dani, and introducing her is Captain G.
In about 3 minutes, Dani Lacy will give her senior speech. So from now until then, Mallory Tyler, Sadie Harlan, Sarah Hansen, and I would like to make sure that her face is as red and shiny as possible when this happens. For those of you who don't know Dani very well, allow us to fill you in on some stories that will really shed some light on the complexities of Dani Caitlin Lacy. Sadie's first memory of Dani was in 6th grade. Sadie had thought that her and Dani had been friends for a year, until Dani informed her that she had hated her for all of 5th grade because she stole Caitlin Dawson away from her, but it was okay and she didn't hate her anymore. Despite her hectic lakeside schedule and her inability to spell anything in English, Dani is a dedicated student. When her computer's on the fritz, she mullins on over to the Willow for some peace and quiet in the library, willing to do anything to get the job done. Sometimes Dani gets flustered. During sophomore year respect and relationships, Mrs. Esmond asked the class what their position on firearms was. Dani raised her hand, puzzled, and asked Miss Esmond why on earth her arms would ever be on fire. Firearms. Dani's not called Dan the Man for nothing. We're pretty sure that in an arm wrestling match between Dani and Michael Orr from The Blind Side, Dani would win. Sometimes Dani takes her strength too far. She's been known to slam her friends into walls or grab their wrists to subdue them. One time, after shoving Sadie, she laughed, "I don't even know why I did that," and kept walking down the hall. Dani has a problem with mass texts. It's gotten so bad that we get a text from Dani. We just started assuming that our friends get the same one. However, Dani actually hates talking on the phone, so don't be surprised if you call Dani and it goes to voicemail, and then 5 seconds later she texts you asking, "What do you want?" Dani, sorry for this embarrassing intro. We love you as much as you love Sadie's cat Boogie. We'll miss you next year, but thankfully there's cell service in Wittenberg, so we'll still be expecting the occasional mass text. Good luck on your speech, Van, and yes, columns really do hold up the roof.
Sir Arthur. Who is Sir Arthur? If you do not know Sir Arthur, then you obviously do not know me very well. Sir Arthur was very close to me for several years of my life. Anywhere I went, he went. Some would call us inseparable. When I was in 8th grade, he never left my sides. He was with me all through the day and all night. Sir Arthur is eccentric, to say the least. He was always found wearing that same daisy print. We had a love-hate relationship, me and Sir Arthur. He hurt me sometimes, but I had to learn to love him because we were together so much. Actually, I brought Sir Arthur here with me today. This is Sir Arthur. He is a back brace. Yes, I was the kid in middle school who wore the back brace. And yes, I did name him Sir Arthur, and I made up a life for him and a personality as well. I got Sir Arthur for my scoliosis. This means my spine is curved. The doctors put me in a back brace while I was still growing to try and keep it from getting any worse. The back brace couldn't cure me or make me any better. It was just trying to prevent the curve from becoming more extreme. The funny part now is that it's been proved that back braces do absolutely nothing. So yes, I was the back brace kid throughout all of middle school for absolutely no reason at all. Imagine a younger me sitting awkwardly in the corner because I didn't really know who to sit by. My blonde hair is stick straight, parted right down the middle. This blonde square frames my bright red, acne-riddled, shining face. I'm sitting straight up because I physically cannot slouch because of my back brace. I am probably sweating. Wearing Sir Arthur through the summer months gets very warm. He was like an insulated skin-tight jacket that I could never take off. On top of the back brace, I had the mouth braces that stretched across my little teeth. If someone talks to me, my face would probably turn a brighter shade of gray, the intensity depending on who was talking to me. But it's not like whoever was talking to me could understand anything I was saying, because I had the rubber bands that went from the left side of my mouth to the right side, which gave me a wonderful lisp. And it wasn't the cute kind of lisp. It was the kind where you actually cannot understand anything the person is saying, and you need to take cover from flying spit. My friends made many jokes about Sir Arthur, but I learned to roll with them and laugh along. People would punch me in the stomach all the time, because I couldn't feel anything due to my armor. At first, I was appalled and mortified from the attention it brought to my immobility, but soon I learned that it was all in good fun. I enjoyed convincing people that I had incredibly strong abdomen muscles by either hitting my stomach with my fists or playing a little song with drumsticks or forks and knives. When the unexpected noise of a drum sounded from my stomach, people didn't assume back brace. They assumed that I was the strongest middle school girl alive, with the hardest abs known to man. Sometimes my fellow 8th grade classmates found it funny to take things like pens and pencils and drop them on the ground right in front of me. Because of Sir Arthur, I couldn't bend down to get them. Usually people would only kid with me for a few minutes while I stood there helpless, and then they would give me my belongings back. Sometimes I had people carry my books because of my brace. Of course, a back brace doesn't get in the way of book carrying, but I was going to use Sir Arthur as much as possible. When we had tornado drills, I didn't have to get on the ground because the teacher always brought me a chair. I never had to tuck in my shirt because the brace went down farther than my skirt and a shirt couldn't go around it. But this led to me absolutely dreading German class. It was in the high school, and I was a very intimidated 8th grader who didn't want any of the older kids to see my brace. The high school teachers didn't know anything about my special privileges that came along with the brace. So every now and then on the walk to German class, a teacher would stop me and tell me I had earned myself a point for having my shirt untucked. This led to a very awkward moment and a very red face. Now I had to lift my shirt to show off Sir Arthur and explain to the teacher, all the while praying that no one would walk by and see. As I grew bigger, Sir Arthur did not, and I experienced some fit issues. Now he was too tight and he was too short. It got to a point where he was hitting a nerve in my leg that made my right leg fall asleep and sometimes turn a strange tinge of purple. One day in Miss Bumpus's English class, my leg went completely numb and turned a dark purple. I was too embarrassed to say anything, so I decided to ignore my purple leg. When class was over, I got up to leave, put pressure on my leg, and then fell over. Once I was down, I was like a turtle on its back. The brace, like my shell. No matter how much I rolled around on the ground, I simply could not get up. I lay there for a little while, absolutely mortified, until someone came over and tried to get me up. One person was not enough to lift me, so Miss Bumpus joined the team. And finally, I was up. My face didn't turn red in this situation, it was more of a purple. The struggle to get up and the mortification of writhing around on the floor after falling in front of my whole class led to sweat. Knowing I was sweating made me even more embarrassed, and it just ended up being really quite a mess. On top of that, my leg was still purple, and I had to go to the doctor later that day. I had a choice. I could either shrink back and disappear while I had Sir Arthur, trying to become invisible and avoid all embarrassment, or I could learn to love him. That's why I named him and made him my friend. I didn't want to hide, so I made my time with Sir Arthur easier by having some fun. I remember the day I got him off. I was so excited. The first thing my mom and I did was went out and bought form-fitting clothing. For the past year or so, I hadn't been able to wear anything that touched my body, so Sir Arthur would show. After our shopping spree, my mom asked me if I wanted to burn Sir Arthur. While the thought was definitely enticing, I had become too attached to my back brace to torch him. He stays under my bed now, and I only bring him out for special occasions. I will probably have to leave him home when I go to college, because I don't know how a roommate would respond if I told them I had such an attachment to my back brace from 8th grade, I had to bring him along. Sir Arthur led to some embarrassment, yes, but he also made me stronger. I have learned that no matter how tough or embarrassing a situation I get myself into, it's all going to be okay. Yes, it does feel like your life might be over when you're a little 8th grader and that one senior boy walks by when you have your shirt hiked all the way up, showing off your back brace to a teacher. But I'm still alive. My face still turns really red and I still sweat. But I have learned that it's okay and people will love me in spite of my sweat and my color. My back is still messed up. Instead of the normal 2 curves that girls usually have, I have one extra sexy curve because my back is so crooked that only one side curves in while the other is completely straight. But I've figured out what clothes make it show and what clothes do not. So learn to work with what you've got because you have to deal with yourself for your whole life. Don't sweat the small stuff, literally, because there are bigger things to sweat about. And be happy. Life isn't long, so be happy while you can and with what you've got.
Thank you, Dani. That's a pretty good speech.